All right, family. So we're going to get back into this. This is part 2 of reading the book of Daniel, getting an understanding of Daniel seeing and getting an interpretation of these beasts. So we're going to start at chapter 8. Because now Daniel's about to speak of 2 particular nations right now, which are of the same beast that we mentioned prior, of the 4 beasts. So these are 2 of the 4 beasts. It's the second and the third beast that we're about to hear about. Okay? But Daniel describes them as something else. So we're seeing that it was a leopard and it was a bear. Now we're about to see it as something else. All right? Okay. So Daniel chapter 8 verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel. Now, this king, right, is one of Nebuchadnezzar's sons. And notice the name, Belshazzar. You see that name, Bel. You see the name Bel in it. So you see, this is them honoring their God. All right, so he says that in the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar. So Nebuchadnezzar is gone, right? This is in the 3rd year of Belshazzar's reign. So Daniel said, a vision appeared unto him, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision. And it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns. All right, so he sees a ram with 2 horns. Check this out. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. So you got a ram with 2 horns, but one of the horns is higher than the other. Now, this ram with 2 horns, with one higher than the other. Now, just to go over real fast, back to chapter 7, where Daniel describes in verse 5, he says, behold, another beast, a second, like a bear, and it raised up itself on one side. See that? So back over at chapter 8, we see that now it's described as a ram with 2 horns, one higher than the other. And it says, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. All right? So you see a moment when one of the 2 nations that make up the Medo-Persia kingdom, that one will rise up last. We're going to see what that one is and what they're talking about. But let's keep reading. Verse 4. And I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. So what that's saying is the ram is pushing westward, northward, southward, right? It's pushing and no beast is able to stand. The pushing is it conquering. Remember, when it was called the bear in Daniel 7, it said that it devoured and was told to devour, right? So it's a force to be reckoned with, and no nation is able to stand up against it. That's what this is being described as here, how he's saying it's pushing in different directions, and no beast being able to stand before it or deliver one out of his hands. Okay, so it's doing whatever it wants to do. Let's keep reading. So he said it became great. So it's a great superpower. Verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, an he goat came from the west. Okay, now we got another beast. We have another beast. So we got a he goat coming from the west. Check this out, though. All right. All right. So I was considering, behold, a he goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Okay, so we got some things to break down here. So you have this he goat coming from the west, and it's moving so fast it doesn't even touch the ground. Now remember, all right, so if you don't know, this is going to be Greek. And that notable horn that it's speaking of is going to be Alexander. So this beast is moving so fast, it's not even touching the ground. Now remember, when it was the first vision, it was considered the leopard with 4 wings, right? 4 wings, 4 heads, right? Now it's described as a goat, which is ironic because that notable horn that it's talking about is Alexander. And what do they call Alexander? They call him Alexander the Great. Now, you know anything about the greatest of all time, the acronym is GOAT, GOAT. Like people say, you know, like Michael Jordan's the GOAT or something like that, the greatest of all time. So I do find that very ironic that he's called great and he's part of the GOAT. But without further ado, let's keep going. And by the way, the greatest of all time was a lamb. But anyway, don't let that go over your head. Okay, so verse 6. And he came to the ram. So now the goat is approaching the ram, meaning Alexander and the Greeks are ready to make war with the Medo-Persian Empire. We're going to see how that happened. It was stirred up, but we're going to keep going. So, and he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. All right. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and broke his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hands. So now we see the kingdom changed. The kingdom that they're fighting for to be ruler of the earth has switched hands. It done went from the ram to the goat. All right? It done went from the Medes and the Persians to the Greeks. All right? So that's what I said. It's like king of the hill, right? Because it was Babylon. Then the Medes and the Persians defeated Babylon. And now you got the Greeks coming to take out the Medes and the Persians. All right? Verse 8. Therefore, the he goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken. Okay, so remember the notable horn that is in the head of the goat, which I'm showing you, it's Alexander, right? Check this out. So it says that the horn, it says he waxed great, right? And when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones towards the 4 winds of the heavens. All right. So remember in Daniel 7 that it said that this leopard had 4 heads, right? Because Alexander, when he dies, his kingdom will be divided amongst his generals. All right. So here when it's describing it as a goat, the horn is broken. Horn represents power. The horn is broken, meaning Alexander has died, right? And then 4 other ones came up. Those are his generals, okay? Those are his generals that are going to take and divide the kingdom that Alexander just fought for. Okay, so let's just continue. All right, so, and out of one of them, so listen to this, verse 9, and out of one of them came forth a little horn. So you had the four horns that replaced the one, Alexander's generals. Out of the four horns, out of one of them, through the lineage of one of them, came forth a little horn. All right? Now check this out. Which waxed exceedingly great. All right. Toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. Okay. Now we know when it says the pleasant land, we're talking about the land of Israel, right? Okay. Verse 11. Check this little horn out. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. All right. Who's the prince of the host, family? Especially in that time. Let me show you. Just so we can always have the understanding. We're going to come to this, but just for right now, let's skip over to chapter 10 in Daniel. And we're going to read verses 20 and 21. Check this out. And it says, Then said he, Knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. Okay, so this is an angel. Like I said, we're going to get into all of this. But this is an angel speaking to Daniel, right? And he says, I came to you, but now I must go and fight with the prince of Persia. Now, this is really, really interesting because we see wars that happen. And when we see wars happening, we see a nation rising up against another nation. Swords clinging, right? Battle axes swung. Even in today's time, you got tanks and assault rifles and bombs. Like, on the physical, that's what we see. But this is giving us insight of what happens on the spiritual. So this angel that is speaking to Daniel says, I must go fight with the prince of Persia. Now, the reason why I want to show this is because the prince are the angels. Yah is the king. The angels are the prince. Let's keep reading. Let me show you. Let's keep reading. So he says, Then he said to me, Knowest thou wherefore I come to thee? And now will I return to go fight with the prince of Persia. Okay. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. Whoa, that's interesting now. You see that? That is very interesting. I must fight with the prince of Persia, and then after that, the prince of Greece shall arise. We see that Greece takes out the Persians, right? And now Greece is in ruling. So this angel is showing Daniel the spiritual behind it. There's an angelic battle that takes place. But let's keep going so I can make my point. So verse 21, because it says that, remember it says that he waxed even to the prince. It says that he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. Okay, so the prince of the host. That sounds like a powerful title, right? Let's check this out. Verse 21. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. And there is none that holdeth with me in these things, but Michael, your prince. Right? Because the angels are prince. Let's slide over to like I said, we're gonna come to this, but just for right now, let's slide over to chapter 12, verse 1. So it says, at that time, and we're talking about the end times, right? So it says, at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stands for the children of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. So we see that Michael is the prince of the of Israel, right? Yah's the king. Michael is the prince, right? Now, let's switch over. Let's go to Isaiah 9:6. I'm going to show you something. This is Yahushua we're about to see, right? Angels are prince, family. All right? So, Isaiah 9:6 says, this is Isaiah giving a prophecy of the Messiah to come. It says, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful. Now remember, when Yahushua walked the earth, you couldn't call him great or good. He said only one is good. He was talking about the Father. So when he was in the flesh, right? In the flesh, he was just a man, right? Wasn't a prince yet. So he should be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty Yah, or the Power Almighty, right? Now, this is because when he is sitting at the right hand of the Father and he comes back, he's coming with the authority of the Father, all the authority of the Father. So, you know what I'm saying? It's not saying that he's going to be Yah, but he's going to be the representation of Yah. A lot of people read stuff like this and they get triggered or they have a misunderstanding. But just check it out. Because remember, Yah is a king. He's not a prince, right? Just walk with me. So he says, also he'll be called the Everlasting Father. Again, he's going to be representation of the Father. And what's the last title? The Prince of Peace. Yah can't be the prince. Yah is greater than a prince. He's the king, right? So this is talking about when Yahushua is transformed like the angels. You got me? But I'm just showing you the prince. The title prince is for the angels. Hold on. Let's slide over to the book of Ephesians, chapter 2. All right, check this out. The angels are considered princes, whether good angels or bad angels. Check this out. So, Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2 says, wherein in times past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of the disobedient. And this is obviously talking about Satan, right? So Satan is called the prince in the power. He's given a title, the prince of the power of the air. And this is the spirit that is working in the children of the disobedient. All right? So when we go back to Daniel chapter 8 and we read this, let's read this again now, right? It says, start at 9 again. It says, and out of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great, towards the south, towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. Verse 10. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. Who's the host of heaven? That's all that is in the heavens, the righteous angels. Yah is head over all the hosts of heaven. So when it says even to the host of heaven, it's kind of like this little horn shook his fist at Yah and even the angels under Yah. All right? And it says, and it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. Now that's powerful. I ain't even gonna hold you. I read this and it just be like, huh? Now, one thing I do know, because we're gonna see that this horn is going to do some crazy things. But I think this is referring to the spirit that is behind this horn. I'm going to explain why. It says that it even, first and foremost, it waxed great to the heavenly host. First red flag. Second red flag, it cast down the stars, the heavenly stars, down to the earth and stepped on them. Now, it's not grabbing the righteous angels and bringing them down and stepping them, put them underfoot. It's not doing that. Now, in the minds of men that follow this little horn, they might disregard the heavenly hosts. You can look at it like that. That's another way I want to look at it. Because it's the spirit. I believe it's the spirit. This is speaking of the spirit that is operating behind this little horn. Because this same spirit is going to be operating behind the future little horn. All right? Let me show you something. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14. We're going to read verses 12. Yeah, let's go to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. Check this out. This is Isaiah speaking of Satan. Now check this out. This is, like I said, it's the spirit. I believe it's the spirit that when it says that, how it worded that, it's speaking of the spirit that's operating behind that little horn. Verse 12 says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart," this is Satan, this is what Satan said in his heart, "I will ascend into the heavens, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yah." So the heavenly host, the stars of Yah. Now, people think of that and like, oh, they're talking about physical stars. The angels, stars are symbolic for angels. So yeah, there are physical stars up there, but the angels are also called stars. I'm not saying when you look in the sky and you see a star, that's an angel. I'm not saying that. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's an angel that's responsible for that particular one. Just like there's spirits that's responsible for the sun coming up and going down, the moon going up, going down. For every aspect of creation, there is something spiritual behind it. Okay? All right. So Satan says he's going to put his throne above the stars of Yah, meaning I'm going to put my throne above the heavenly hosts. Now, he can't physically do that. We know that. He can't. Satan cannot beat Yah. Satan cannot just kick Yah out and no, it's not happening like that. This is what Satan is doing in the minds and the hearts of men. In the hearts, in the minds of men, Satan is higher than Yah. How so? First and foremost, majority don't even know Yah. You got all these different religions that Satan's responsible for creating. You pay homage to the God of your religion, and if Satan is the one who created it, in your mind and in your heart, you have put Satan above Yah. Y'all don't hear me. That's for another lesson. That's for another lesson. But let's keep going. He says, right? He says, "I will also sit upon the mount of the assembly in the sides of the north." So everything high, right? On the mountain, on the sides of the north. North is, you know what I'm saying? So he's saying, I will be at the highest point in the minds of mankind, right? He says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Satan's a copycat. He said, I will be like the Most High. That's why we call Yah the Most High. You do not get higher than Yah. There is nobody high. When we say high, I want y'all to think about this. All right. The hat. Let's say the hat, right? Just like in the book of Corinthians, the hat is your covering, right? It's above your head. So you have the Father, who is the covering of the Messiah. You have the Messiah, who is the covering of man. And you have man, who is the covering of his wife. It's a chain of command, right? So there is no higher chain of command than Yah. So Yah is the Most High. But Satan is saying here, I will be like the Most High, because in the hearts and the minds of men, they're going to put me higher than Yah. All right? Let's keep going. I'm going to show you this, though, how this spirit is operating, because remember, it says that it cast down the heavenly hosts, right? It waxed exceedingly great against the heavenly hosts, right? Even to the prince of the covenant, right? Okay. And we see that Michael is mentioned. Let's go here. Let's go to the book of Jude. Check this out, family. We're going to read, it's only one chapter. Chapter 1, verse 9. Because remember, it says he waxed even to the host, even to the prince of the covenant, right? And we see, when we see covenant, you think Israel, right? So we seen that in Daniel, it was described that Michael is the angel that is over the children of Israel. Check this out. Chapter 1, verse 9. It says, this is the book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 9. It says, yet Michael, all right, so we're talking about the angel Michael, or Mikael, the archangel, when contending with the devil, we know who the devil is, he disputed about the body of Moses. Okay, so just to explain, just in case you don't know, Satan wanted Moses' body. He wanted to know where his gravestone was, where he was buried. Yah took Moses and had an angel put him somewhere where nobody knows. Talking about his dead body. Why? I'm going to explain why. Moses' body will be the biggest stumbling block in Israel. Back then, and probably be a stumbling block even to these days. But definitely back then too. People will go to his... Moses was like, let's say, a god, right? In the minds of the people back then. Even in the times of Yahushua. That's why when you see Paul speaking, he speaks of the law of Moses versus the law, right? Not saying that Moses taught anything wrong. Moses taught everything right. But in the minds of men, they put Moses over the Most High because they forgot about love and compassion. They were being hypocrites. They would act out as if they're this type of person and force people to be that type of person, but behind closed door, they're something else. That's for a whole other conversation. I just wanted to explain that because right now you have a conversation between Michael and Satan over the body of Moses. Let's continue reading to see what else happened, right? So it says, Michael the archangel, when contending, right? That sounds like a heated argument, right? Contending. Boxers contend, fighting, right? Okay. When contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses. durst not bring against him railing accusation, but said, Yah rebuke thee. What's he saying there? Michael didn't go and bring an accusation against Satan because Satan is looking for the body of Moses. Michael just simply rebuked him in the name of Yah. You see what I'm saying? He handled it maturely. He just rebuked him in the name of Yah. He didn't go back and make accusation and stuff because Satan does that. The reason why I said it, because Satan is the accuser of the brethren. We'll see that in Revelations later. But Satan is the accuser of the brethren, accusing them day and night. Satan is a constant accuser. Michael did not stoop down to the level of Satan, even though Satan was dead wrong. That's what that's saying right there. But you see, there go a time where there's a dispute. Now remember, I'm speaking of the spirit that is behind this little horn. Because this little horn waxed great. It did some stuff that none other horn did. Right? Before it. Okay. Let's keep going. All right. So let's switch gears over to Revelations chapter 12. And, you know, we're going to get into all this. This is going to be part of the Revelation series. But just to give an understanding right now, what we're reading, we're going to switch over here. So, Revelation chapter 12, verse 7 says, and there was a war in heaven. Now, let me stop right fast. This war has not happened yet. It very well possibly could be happening right now or about to happen. But when this was written, this hadn't happened yet. This is a future event, okay? Even though we are in these times, we're close to these times, and when this happens, whoa. But just based off what I see going on in the world, I see us getting really, really, really close to these times, okay? But check this out. So it says, and there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. All right, let's stop right there. Future event, right? This is the book of Revelations. Yahushua has already been sacrificed, raised on the third day, and now sits at the right hand of the Father. And if you remember in Psalms, what David said, he says, Yah said to my master, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. Yahushua is sitting in heaven chilling. Right? I mean, he's doing work. He's pleading for your case. He's you know what I'm saying? He's doing work, but he's not having to go out and battle the adversary. Not right yet. When Yahushua comes back, that's when he battles. But these angels that are under Yah are warrior angels. Michael, a warrior angel. I could not even imagine how Michael looked. If Michael was to show his true image to man, their hearts would melt in fear. These are warrior angels, right? All right, so here we got in Revelations, we got Michael and his angels. Yahushua was still sitting at the right hand of the Father. The Father ain't out there fighting. The Father got his army. He's the general. He sends them to go fight, right? If Yah was to get up and fight, Satan really wouldn't stand a chance. We get that. But what we see right here is in Revelations, Michael and his angels fought against Satan. Let's read it. It says, and there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Okay. So the dragon didn't just fight. His angels fought with him. Satan has his own army. All right. He said he had a throne. He said he was going to lift his throne above the throne of Yah. Right. That's what he said, right? So he has an army. And he fights against Michael. Let's see what happens. Verse 8. So after Satan and his angels fight, It says, they prevailed not. They did not win. Neither was their place found anymore in the heaven. They were kicked out of heaven. There's people that believe that Satan is in a place called hell with a pitchfork, a red demon or whatever, under the ground. Satan can still move around. Satan was still going to the heavens. We see in the book of Job, Satan appeared in a meeting place in heaven where all the angels came to meet and to report what they were doing. Satan still answers to the Father. Yes, he does. He still answers. He's just that misery that loves company. He know he messed up already. He want to take as many as possible with him. All right? So, Satan lost the battle, and he was thrown out of the heaven. And his angels. Right? Okay. So we see two situations so far. In Job, we see them contending, well, Satan trying to find out where Moses' body is, and Michael handling it in a mature fashion. And then we see here in the end times, there's another fight. So when we go back to what we read, it says that he even waxed great against the prince of the covenant. Yah's not a prince, Yah is a king. Yahushua is not fighting. Yahushua already defeated death. When Yahushua comes back, he will be fighting. But just like David says, Yah said to my master, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. So Satan is not fighting against Yahushua in the heavens. He's fighting against Michael. So we got two situations where Satan and Michael got into it in some way or another. Right? Okay. Let's keep going. Let's go to the earlier verse of this same chapter. I'm going to show you something. Because so we already see the beef between Michael and Satan, right? But it also says that it cast down the stars and trampled them under the foot, right? This little horn, right? Cast down the stars and trample it under the foot. Like I said, I think it's talking about the spirit behind the little horn. Because when we go to Revelation chapter 12, right? And, well, we're already in Revelation chapter 12, but we're going to go to verse 3. It says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns. We're going to get into that. We're going to actually come back to this. But right now, we're going to stay focused. So, 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. So, this great red dragon, right? What did this great red dragon do? Verse 4. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven. His tail. So you think about a dragon has a tail, right? So it's like you think of a swiping motion, right? Okay. A tale can also be a story, an understanding, right? Telling a tale, a lie, right? Okay. So, through his lying, through his deception, he has tricked a third part of the heavenly hosts to become evil angels, i.e., fallen angels. They believed in him and stopped believing in the Most High Yah. Okay. So what did he do? And he said his tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and cast them down to the earth. Okay, so if you were heavenly bound, you were in the army of Yah. You were in righteousness. You were destined to have a beautiful all eternity of life. Talking about an angel. And you give that up. And you believe in the liar, that adversary, the deceiver, to join him in eternal damnation in a lake of fire. That sounds like somebody who has been cast down to the ground and stepped on. Y'all get what I'm saying? It just does. It just does. So, and we're gonna come back to that. It's one more place I want to go, and then we'll go right back to the book of Daniel. But yeah, we're gonna come back to that. Let's go over to the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 28. We'll start at verse 11. Because, all right, so we're talking about this horn. And there is a lot of credit given to this horn. And then we know that this horn is a nation and it's an individual when it becomes the little horn and it does things, right? Okay. But it's given a lot of credit that a flesh and blood man can't do. A flesh and blood man cannot cause angels to be trampled under the foot. Only Satan can do that. So we're going here because in this one, Ezekiel was told to say something to the king of Tyre, or Tyre, however you pronounce that. And it just starts off talking to this king, and it starts speaking to the spirit behind the king. I'm going to show you this. So Ezekiel 28, verse 11 says, "Moreover, the word of the Almighty came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say to him, Thus says Yah, the Almighty, Thou sealest up the sum full of wisdom and perfect in beauty." All right? Verse 13. "Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Yah." Let's stop right there. So this man who Ezekiel is speaking to was in the Garden of Eden. The only people in the Garden of Eden was Adam and Hawa, or Adam and Eve, right? It was just two people. After the fruit was ate, that wasn't supposed to be ate, they were kicked out. So even their children didn't experience the Garden of Eden, right? So when it says thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Yah, it went from speaking to a person to speaking to the spirit that's behind the person. Y'all follow me? Let me finish it out though. It says, "Every precious stone was thy covering of sardius, topaz, and the diamond, and the beryl, and the onyx, and the jasper, and the sapphire, and the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and the pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou was created." Verse 14. "Thou art an anointed cherub that covers." Satan was so we see what Satan was before he fell. He was an anointed cherub angel, right? "And I have set thee so. Thou was upon the mountain of Yah. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire." All right, so I ain't got to read no more because this is just going to just talk more about Satan. But I'm just making a point that Yah can send you to speak if you're the prophet, Ezekiel. If you're the prophet, Isaiah. If you're the prophet in today's time. You know, who knows what Yah would have us doing. When we're going to speak to a person, or like these brothers did, they spoke to the person, then they spoke to the spirit behind the person. Kind of deep, man. It's kind of deep. So we're going to go right back over to Daniel chapter 8. Because this should be making some sense to y'all now, right? So I'm going to start right back at verse 10. This little horn, right? It says, it waxed great even to the host of the heaven. Who has waxed great to the host of the heaven? Based off what we just read. Satan, right? It cast down the host and of the stars to the ground and stepped upon them. Who has cast down stars from the heaven that we read in Revelation? Satan. Through his tail, right? Through his tail, the dragon's tail, grabbed a third and cast them down to the earth. When did he cast them down to the earth? Technically, when they believed him. Physically, when him and his army was thrown out of the heaven. Right? Man ain't did this. Man has not caused. The angels are more advanced than you think. A man cannot cause an angel to fall. Now, we know the Watchers, they lusted after the women, but it's something they decided to do. The women didn't convince them to come down there. It's something that was just on their heart. Right? Okay. Verse 11. Yea, he magnified himself to the prince of the host. Right? The prince of the host. Who's the prince of the host? Michael is right under Yah. Imagine how powerful Michael is if he's the one who is responsible for Yah's people. What you need to understand is every nation has an angel over it. That's why when we read before, when it was saying that I had to fight with the prince of Persia, and then the prince of Greece shall arrive. The prince is an angel. The angel over the Persians, right? This angel was telling Daniel, I had to defeat this angel. So when we seen on the physical, Greece takes over the rule. On the spiritual, the angel was defeated. But then when Greece is in power, we see Greece is in power. But on the spiritual, the angel is now on top. That runs Greece. Y'all get me? So, Michael being the head or the prince of the children of Israel gotta have a high power in the kingdom of heaven. Has to have a significant role in the kingdom of heaven. Right? So when it says he magnified himself to the prince of the host, we've seen countless occasions where him, Michael, and Satan got into it. Come on, man. Come on, y'all. Come on. Come on. Come on. If it's too heavy for you, let me know. But it's this is what I'm saying. Like, mankind, a flesh and blood man cannot cause all this to take place. Now we know when the man of sin comes on the scene, and even the false prophet, they're gonna be able to pull fire out of heaven and stuff like that. We get that. We get that. But what I'm saying is, on the spiritual, things have taken place. So this is speaking of what is influencing this little horn. Because listen to what he does next. All right? All right. Verse 11. Yea, he magnified himself to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Okay, so let's check this out. He took away the daily sacrifice. He stopped. Because right now, if you don't know who we're talking about, this little horn is a man named Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus Epiphanes. He's the man who we're gonna have to read the book of Maccabees. We'll get more in deep depth in some of the stuff he was doing. But Antiochus Epiphanes did some really foul stuff. So he did stuff that none of the people before him did. Now keep in mind, where did Antiochus Epiphanes come from? It says that you had 4 horns. First, you had this one notable horn, right? Which is on the goat, which is Alexander, right? Okay. The horn is now broken, and now 4 other horns come up, which are Alexander's generals. Okay. Out of one of those horns came up this little horn. All right. This little horn is Antiochus Epiphanes. Now, this little horn is the one causing all this damage. But what I'm saying to you is, based on the stuff that he's doing, it ain't nobody but Satan himself behind this little horn. All right? So, it says that he stops the sacrifice. Yes, he did that. And when we get into the book of Maccabees, we'll see how he stopped that. Like, he had him, like, slaughtering pig on an altar. And he would get mad if you had the word of Yah, you know, your scriptures. He would get mad if you did things that Yah told you to do. He wanted you to do the opposite of what Yah wanted. All right? Ain't nobody but Satan. All right? So it says, and the place of the sanctuary was cast down. Now, the place of the sanctuary being cast down, we're talking about, when we say the sanctuary, we're talking about everything that is performed to be obedient to Yah. The sacrifices, the offerings, right? The tithes, the real tithes, not the tithes you got going on in this land. I don't know what that is, but the real tithes, right? Because Scripture says you can only pay tithes in the city where He put His name. Sorry, so that's for another lesson too. But what I'm saying is, everything that had taken place when this man came on the scene ceased, and he brought unclean meats into the sanctuary of Yah. So when it says that the place of his sanctuary was cast down, right? And the place of his sanctuary was cast down, and an host was given to him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. So an host was given to him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. What is the host? Come on, family. A host, right? Now, we know a host is a collection of something, right? We see the heavenly host. We see that mentioned, the heavenly host. It's a collection of heavenly beings. So you can look at this like, okay, now host, he was given the army to make sure his plans of transgression succeeded. Right? That makes sense. Because he did have an army. But I also see that as on the spiritual, he had some participating fallen angels too. I wouldn't be surprised, man. This man was wicked. This man was wicked. Read the book of Maccabees, you're going to see how wicked this man was. He was wicked. Alright. So let's keep going. Verse 12. And host was given to him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and it prospered. Yes, the truth was cast down to the ground. Yup. The truth was cast down to the ground. People stopped following Yah. People ignored the words of Yah. In the hearts of men, the truth was cast down to the ground. Now, it's an interesting story when you read it, because it's the Maccabean family who did not follow suit with this man and took him to war. But in the minds of many, the truth was cast down to the ground. Satan is going to operate with mankind the same way he operated with the angels. He deceived them. He told them a lie, a tale, and got them to leave Yah. He's doing the same with mankind. So him being behind this man makes sense. This man doing all the things that he did, because it's the same way Satan operates. So the truth of Yah was cast down to the ground. Let's keep going. All right, so verse 13. Then I heard one of the saints speaking to another saint, and said unto that certain saint which spoke, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? So in this vision, then you see two saints speaking, asking how long would this take place concerning the daily sacrifice, the things that we were supposed to be performing in Yah's sanctuary, right? The transgression of desolation. A man comes into Yah's set apart land, Yah's set apart sanctuary, and have people slaughter unclean meats and put his gods in there, have Yah's people bowing to idols. Yeah, that's a transgression of desolation. And it's the same thing that the man of sin is going to do. It's the same thing that the man of sin is going to do when he comes on the scene. He says, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot. Okay, then that's interesting. All right, so we know that the sanctuary is trodden underfoot because you got the abomination that lays waste, right? You have this man doing abominable acts inside the sanctuary. However, look at the second stanza of this paragraph. And the host be trodden underfoot. Very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. So, like I said, this has to be in the minds of wicked man who disregards Yah and Yah set apart angels. You see what I'm saying? Tread under the foot like that. Because a man cannot reach into the heavens and pull one of Yah set apart angels down, let alone all of them. Right? Okay. Verse 14. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days. Wow, and that's interesting. 2,300 days. That's 2,300 days. If you divide that into 365 into that, it's like roughly 6 years. All right. So now I honestly don't have an understanding of what this means. Now I can tell you what I think. All right. So now I think Antiochus Epiphanes, he ruled for, I want to say 11 years. Around that, like roughly 11 years. I'll probably be bringing it up on the screen for you to see it. So the 6 years, or roughly 6 years, when it's fulfilled, things could go back to the norm. And we know that the Maccabee family, through guerrilla warfare, ran Antiochus Epiphanes out of our land and rededicated the temple, right? I wonder if that has anything to do with when Antiochus Epiphanes will no longer be ruling in God's land. But like I said, I don't. I've been searching, and there's people say this, there's people say that. I need a connection in the scripture. I need precepts to prove it. So I'm gonna just say about this one. Please put in the comment if you have an understanding of what the 2,300 days mean, and I would greatly appreciate it. But let's continue on. And it says, and then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Now we know the sanctuary was cleansed when it was rededicated back to Yah by the Maccabean family, right? Okay, so Gabriel's about to interpret Daniel's vision. So verse 15, and it came to pass when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. Okay, so Daniel seen an angel. As the appearance of a man, Daniel definitely seen an angel. Verse 16, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of the Eli, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. Okay, so the appearance of a man that he seen was Gabriel. So it shows you, like, Yah's set apart angels, they come down, they can look like a man, or they can look like something else. Verse 17. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid, and I fell on my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground. Obviously he fainted, right? And he fell on his face, and he said while the angel was speaking, he was in a deep sleep. He fainted. Must have been a sight. Must have been a sight to make this brother faint. But he touched me and set me upright and said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. Okay, so the angel's telling him, Gabriel's telling him, I will make it known to you what shall be at the end of the indignation, right? Your vision. I'm gonna tell you what your vision is showing you. Then he says, for at a time appointed, right? So you have a time appointed, and then it says, the end shall be. So you have the time appointed, then the end shall be. The end of the vision, yes. Daniel sees a lot of things. We're going to see how much Daniel seen. We're already seeing it. But Daniel sees a lot of things. So this man, this Antiochus Epiphanes character, is definitely the precursor to the man of sin. Definitely. Daniel's vision was of a man that was going to come before the man of sin came. And this man is an abominable person as well. Keep in mind, we're talking about the third kingdom, which is the Greco kingdom, Greeks, right? Okay. So he says, verse 20, he says, the ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia, right? Okay, verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Greece, and the great horn which is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. Okay, so you have 4 standing up in place of the one. Alexander's generals stood up, not in his power, because first and foremost, Alexander died, and it was left to his generals to split and divide the kingdom. Not in his power, he didn't have a say who would be. Now, you know how kings get down. Usually pass that down to your heir. So when it says not in his power, it didn't go to his heir. It didn't. He didn't have much of a say because he was going. Verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, okay, there, who's the there? There is the four generals, right? Those that are part of the kingdom of the goat. When the transgressors are come to the full, all right, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Now, this definitely sounds like the man is sin. But like I said, we're still talking about the goat. This man is the precursor to the man that's going to come, okay? We haven't even gotten to the four beasts. We did, but not in context of what we're reading. We're still in the third beast, right? So he says that a king of fierce countenance, a king rules. This is the little horn, right? Okay. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Now, what does that mean? His power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, because Satan is going to be behind him. His power is going to be mighty, but it's going to be the workings of the adversary on why this man is doing. Because you could just tell by, wait till we read the book of Maccabees. Some of the stuff he was doing was like, well, who does that? You know what I'm saying? Like, who does that? Who you're from another nationality. You're Greek. You have your own traditions and customs. You can go poke your chest out anywhere. And I understand flexing on the smaller countries. But to go into this particular land, Yisrael, to sneak in there and go so far as telling people they cannot keep the laws and customs that they were already keeping. Usually, like you see how the other stronger nations did it, and unless the children of Israel were taken into captivity. But if they were being taxed, they were still able to carry on their traditions and their customs. But they just had to pay tax to the king, right? Like render unto Caesar was due unto Caesar, right? This man goes in and says, nah, I don't want you following these traditions. I'm going to make up a tradition for you. That ain't nothing but the adversary, family. That ain't nothing but the adversary. But let's keep going. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the set apart people. Yes, he's going to be able to do his will. Verse 25. And through his policies also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He's coming in peaceably. Remember, that's walled to wall city. He couldn't come in with the appearance that he was going to do all of this. He came in peaceably and then changed things from within inside and out. And he shall also stand up against the prince of princes. All right, prince of princes. Remember who the prince of princes is. In this time, this is before Yahushua has came to the world, right? The prince of princes is Michael, right? Over the children of Israel, Michael. So he shall stand up against the prince of princes. This is the spirit behind it. Like I said, it's the spirit. Satan has been challenging Michael and combating with Michael for a long time. This man didn't go up into the heavens and stand up against Yah's second in command at the time, Michael. No. But Satan has. Satan has. But he shall be broken without hand. Now that broken without hand, nobody put a knife to his neck. Nobody put a sword in his neck. Nobody killed him. I need to look up how he died. But I know he was not murdered. He was not killed. It's just like he just died. So broken without hand, right? Meaning he just died. Now, a comparison, the man is sin. When he comes, nobody's going to kill him. It's not going to be somebody's not going to shoot him and gun him down, assassinate him. How does he die? Well, according to the book of Revelations, he will be thrown into the lake of fire while he's still alive. Him and the false prophet. Broken without hand. See the comparison? Now, let's just say Yah took the life of Antiochus. Yah sent a warlike, destroying angel and got him up out of here. I'm just saying hypothetically, because there's nothing in Scripture that says that, supports that. But when it says broken without hand, right? He was broken without hand, meaning he was destroyed, but not by the hand of a man. Okay? Verse 26, we almost finished, family. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore, shut up the vision, for it shall be for many days. And I, Daniel, fainted again, and was sick certain days. Afterwards I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. That is a lot. So, hey, hallelujah, family. So we have completed chapter 8. I definitely pray this was a blessing to you. And like I said, definitely hit the comment section. Let me know what you think about the 2,300 days. I'm gonna keep doing research on that. But I don't see a connection. I'm gonna pray on it. I'm definitely gonna pray on it. I always pray on it. I always pray to get an understanding when I'm reading the Father's word. And the Father feeds us in season. He'll give us here, give us a little here, give us a little there. So I say hallelujah for that. But definitely very powerful, family. Definitely very powerful. And we can see that this is the precursor to the man of sin, Antiochus Epiphany. Antiochus Epiphany. A lot of people read this and be like, oh, this is talking about the man of sin. Yeah, I think that it could fit him. I really do. I think it could fit him, but you got to keep it in its context. We are talking about the goat, the third kingdom, the 4 generals that replaced the one horn. And of the 4 generals, of one of them, out of one of the 4 horns, rose up a little horn. So, you know what I'm saying? If keeping this context, it is what it is. But hey, family, I'm going to leave y'all with that. Shalom. Y'all bless.